Alright, against the odds time, playing some Braid of Fire in Modern, and we have 0 lands. Well, now we have lands, but no good stuff. I guess we keep Genesis Wave. So let's just Forest, Arbor Elf, Goo. Flooded Strand for our opponent, cracks it, gets an island, and Serum Visions, both to the bottom. Well, Wooded Foothills, Arbor Elf, get in 4-1, and pass the turn. So next turn we could Genesis Wave X2, not really good enough. If we get desperate, we could go X3, but wow, no land for our opponent. Crack Wooded Foothills, get a Forest. Opponent has to discard. Oh, there's a Blood Moon. Well, let's Stomping Grounds untapped and Blood Moon. Get in with both Arbor Elves. This means our opponent can't just draw fetch lands and suddenly fix their mana if they're playing blue-black or blue-white. Yep. Flooded Strand as a... Oh, well... Okay. Apparently our opponent wanted red mana, and we helped them. Let's get in with Arbor Elf. We're not hitting any of our big mana production. Stomping Grounds go. Opponent has Ancestral Visions ticking down. Opponent passes. Get in with Arbor Elf. Well, we're not under a ton of pressure, so we kind of want to make this Genesis Wave as good as possible. Opponent hits a Temporal Mastery. Not a very scary Temporal Mastery. Pretty much, opponent gets another turn, they get another counter off their Ancestral, so it's coming down next turn. Draws another island, and passes. Well, let's get in with Arbor Elf. Wooded Foothills, and Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. So now we need an Upwelling to start storing up that mana. Ooh, opponent has Dictate. Are they going off with turns? Interesting. We don't have a good way of interacting with this deck, though. Sulfur Falls for our opponent. Snapcaster Mage for the Lightning Bolt, I assume. Going to Bolt our Arbor Elf. Yep. And suspends another Ancestral. Braid of Fire starts ticking up. We get an extra card. Well, Ensnaring Bridge. Ensnaring Bridge. Not going to stop us from losing to infinite turns, though. Ancestral ticks down. Opponent draws an extra card. Let's see if they start comboing off here. Opponent goes with, alright, Exhaustion. That makes sense. And that is actually pretty problematic, because we're not going to be able to cast things. Wooded Foothills and Stomping Ground. Well, let's Wooded Foothills, pass the turn. Now they might actually be able to win with Snapcaster Beats if they can just take a bunch of turns. And they hit a Temporal Mastery. Steam Vents, tapped. More card draw. Yeah, I'm expecting we lose here. To just our opponent taking a bunch of turns and beating with Snapcaster. Seems likely. And there is another extra turn. I don't know if we have a really good answer for this deck. I mean, Ensnaring Bridge is probably our best answer, but... Ancestral comes down. Opponent has a million cards in hand. 13, down to 12. Another Snapcaster. We'll say that's good enough. They're going to win with Snapcasters thanks to that Exhaustion. They can get an extra turn, beat in for 2, then 4. So, things we want... Boom Bust, Fulminator Mage, Crossing Grip. I think we can go down Lightning Bolts. Blood Moon is only okay. Probably go down a couple Blood Moons and try it like that. Alright, game 2 against Turbo Turns. And, well, we have some ramp, but that's about it. Let's just Forest and Arbor Elf. Pass the turn. Flooded Strand for our opponent. Passes. Stomping Ground, untapped. And Braid of Fire. Get in 4-1. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand, main phase, Island, and Sulfur Falls. Braid ticks up. Can't use the mana yet. Ooh, there's Genesis Wave. Well, let's Doubling Cube. Opponent remands. Then Kessig Wolf Run, Untap Forest, and Doubling Cube. Pass the turn. Opponent passes. Braid of Fire ticking up. We don't have an Upwelling. Ooh, another Braid of Fire. Well, Braid of Fire... Windswept Teeth. Get in for 1 with our Arbor Elf. Opponent flashes in a Dictate. Draws an extra card. Scalding Tarn. Cracks it. Serum Visions. There's Ancestral. Yeah, let's just pass the turn and see what we draw. Braid ticks up. Braid ticks up. We could go all in on Arbor Elf, but I think we want to be able to play things. Utopia Sprawl and Blood Moon. Well, let's Utopia Sprawl a Forest on green. Crack Windswept Teeth, get a Forest, tap, untap, Blood Moon. Doesn't really do that much here since our opponent has a million basic islands. Stomping Ground, tapped, pass the turn. Alright, well, let's see what happens. Snapcaster Mage for our opponent. Well, looks like they're going to go on the Snapcaster plan. Can they just actually take enough turns to kill us? Wow! Our opponent, with their Temporal Mastery. Oh my god. Well, now we might just lose. That's what they wanted. A second Snapcaster to speed up the clock. Another Serum Visions. Oh, Temporal Mastery. Well, this seems like a bad matchup anyway. Ancestral taking down. Our opponent only has to take like 3 or 4 extra turns here. Gets in with both. Well, we get another turn. That's something. Braid of Fire ticks up. Braid of Fire ticks up. Not that we can really do anything with it, since we don't have Upwelling. We draw a Mountain and a Utopia Sprawl. Sure. Well, let's Utopia Sprawl our Forest. On green. Tap it. Untap it. We're just going to fire off this Genesis Wave. My guess is it gets hit by Remand, and then we lose. But we might as well try. They could not have Remand. It is a possibility. Opponent goes with Cryptic Command to bounce our Forest. Oh my god. Okay. Well, we can Doubling Cube to try to Genesis Wave. Do they have a Remand as well? Alright. Well, Cryptic and Remand. Not much we can do about that. Alright, against the odds time. Playing some Braid of Fire in Modern. And this is actually pretty good. Utopia Sprawl, Forest, set it on red for Blood Moon. And then we can Upwelling after that to start storing up mana. Bloodstained Mire passes. So, Windswept Heath, rack Windswept Heath, get a Forest. The only downside of this is we don't actually have the mana for... Genesis Wave, should we draw it. I guess we can store it up off Upwelling. So, Blood Moon down. Our opponent fetched out a non-basic. Oh, they got the Forest, okay. Sakura Tribe Elder for our opponent. So maybe they just don't care about Blood Moon. So, Windswept Heath, Arbor Elf, Ensnaring Bridge. Make sure our opponent isn't doing any Titan attacking. Colony Heart Expedition. Plays a land, gets a counter. Farseek. Well, our opponent's got the ramp. They're going to have a Titan. Untap it. Upwelling. So we got the combo assembled. And Braid of Fire. We're also going to need a Genesis Wave or something to actually win the game. So mana all around for everyone. What it fails triggers Colony Garden. Here comes the Titan. Can't attack though, so that's good. Triggers the Colony Garden, so I can sack that for 2 more basics. Braid of Fire adds a mana. Doesn't go away thanks to Upwelling. Come on, Genesis Wave. Ooh, Doubling Cube is actually sweet. Tap, untap, play Doubling Cube. We have all the combo pieces. We just don't have a Genesis Wave. Opponent sacks Colony Garden. This deck may or may not have Scape Shift. It may have like 2 Scape Shifts. It may have 0 Scape Shifts. The deck has Primeval Titans. The other thing is our opponent could theoretically just get so many lands out of their deck that they can't win with Scape Shift. Oh, Ensnaring Bridge. How I love you. Explore. Opponent passes. Well, we tap out. 5 mana, not worth doubling. Come on, Genesis Wave! Stomping Grounds, untapped. I mean, if our opponent deals with our stuff, we're dead no matter what. So we might as well make as much mana as possible and hope we draw Genesis Wave. Also, we could win with Comet Storm if we drew our Comet Storm. Anger of the Gods will tap, untap. We have so much mana that this really doesn't matter. Well, keep an eye on our mana pool. It's gonna get sweet. Alright, there's Escape Shift. I guess this doesn't really kill us, though, because... Oh, we have the Blood Moon? Can our opponent just not win here? I guess is the question. Sacks a few lands. Are they just trying to get lands out of their deck? I do not understand what's going on here. The jank is very assembled. Opponent gets a bunch of lands. Goes to the end step. Well, let's start floating some mana. And we might as well double it. So up to 22 mana floating. Gonna grow exponentially from here. Alright, so Braid ticks up. So... I guess we just pass the turn, keep doubling our mana. Whoa. Our opponent's got all the Scape Shifts. I kind of think our opponent's just being a good sport and can't win, but they actually want to see how we're going to finish this game. These have been some of the oddest Scape Shifts. So opponent sacks a few lands. Yep, get some fetches. Alright, let's tap out and double our mana. What are we up to now? 54. Not bad. Should be up over 100 next turn. Braid of Fire. Gives us some more mana. Another Lightning Bolt. Alright, let's tap out, double our mana, 100 and something, play an Upwelling, and pass the turn. So we have about 116 mana floating. Opponent passes. Braids gives us some more mana. We just need that Genesis Wave. Wooded Foothills, tap out, double our mana. What are we up to this time? Oh, I can't even count that high. 248, I believe? We are going to be in the thousands soon. It really gets out of control. Secure Tribe Elder for our opponent. I guess that's a way our opponent could win. 1 damage at a time. Braids, ticks up. We just need the Genesis Wave for the combo kill. Come on, Genesis Wave. Another Braid of Fire. Well, always double first. So, tap our mana. Double our mana. 500 something, I believe. Another Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. Opponent gets it 4-1 with Secure Tribe Elder. Oh, come on. Genesis Wave. 2 braids ticking up this time. Adding more and more mana. Well, I think we pass it. Oh, I guess that just works. So, we don't get to Genesis Wave, but this will do it. Let's double our mana. Are we going to break 1,000? Yes, we are over 1,000 mana. And we just top decked our 1-of Helix Pinnacle. Oh, yes! So, activate Helix Pinnacle. 60. Man, I'm going to time out trying to pay 100 mana. And 100. And pass the turn. We have 100 counters on our Helix Pinnacle. I was really hoping for a Genesis Wave, so we could have made, like, I don't even know, so much mana. 10,000 mana, maybe? Opponent bolts us. Down to 13. Bolts us. Down to 10. Well, if we're doing the bolting thing, we might as well bolt 2. Boom. Boom. Everyone had a handful of bolts. Oh, yes, Helix Pinnacle. Oh, this is ridiculous. Our opponent drew the 4th bolt, all the way down to 4. They almost did it. All right. So, we don't really need to add the mana. Helix Pinnacle, beginning of our upkeep, triggers, 100 counters. And that should do it. Oh, so janky. So, against this deck, we want our land destruction mostly. Boom Bust, our Fulminator Mage. Maybe go down Lightning Bolt and what? Maybe go down 1 Blood Moon. Try it like that. Or doubling cube, rather. Alright, game 2, and oh man, this hand is loaded. Cinderglade for our opponent. Well, Wooded Foothills, crack Wooded Foothills. Get a Forest and Arbor Elf. Pass the turn. Windswept Heath for our opponent. Cracks it. Alright, Lightning Bolts are Arbor Elf. Well, there's Blood Moon. Since we drew Blood Moon, I think we need to Wooded Foothills, crack Wooded Foothills. I think we gotta wait on Braid of Fire. Get a Stomping Grounds. Untapped. Helix Pinnacle. At this rate, we'll kill our opponent in 35 turns, something like that. Pass the turn. So this gives us the possibility of Blood Moon into Ensnaring Bridge. Colony Heart Expedition, Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. We draw a Genesis Wave, which is sweet, but not sweet enough at the moment. So let's just get down our Blood Moon. Pass the turn. Would be nice to draw another land. Another Expedition. Whew. Our opponent is going to have a lot of lands. So many lands that if they kill our Blood Moon, we're probably just dead. Well, there's a forest, so play the forest, play a Braid of Fire, untap a forest, play a doubling cube, and pass the turn. So we can start using our Braid mana to put counters on Helix Pinnacle. Search for tomorrows. Well, here comes the lands. Question is, can our opponent deal with Blood Moon to win with Scapeshift? Alright, Braid of Fire ticks up, gives us a mana. We will spend that mana on our Helix Pinnacle, since we don't have Upwelling. Counter 1 on Helix Pinnacle. Dryad Arbor, and Ensnaring Bridge. Pass the turn. Right now, Genesis Wave is only for 2. Not really good enough. Halfway expecting that we just die here. Opponent searches out some basics, triggers the other Expedition. Secure Tribe Elder. I mean, their lands don't matter at this point. It's all about whether they can kill our Blood Moon. Drawing another Blood Moon would actually be pretty helpful. Opponent passes, so we might as well untap a forest and counter number 2. The long and slow Helix Pinnacle plan. Braid of Fire takes up. 2 more counters on our Helix Pinnacle. We draw a forest, and let's just pass. If we get 1 more mana, then X4 means we can hit Upwelling as well, which would be good. Gets in 4-1. Sure. Well, let's tap everything. We don't have enough lands for Doubling Season to mana yet. Enough mana for Doubling Season to do anything yet. dump everything onto our Helix Pinnacle. Up to 10 counters. Braid of Fire taking up 3 more counters on our Helix Pinnacle. Ooh, Utopia Sprawl. That might let us Genesis Wave. So let's Utopia Sprawl our forest. Adding red? Yeah, red's fine. Tap, untap, tap. So that gives us 7 mana. Doubling cube, doubles it up to 8. And then we can Genesis Wave X5. Not a great Genesis Wave, but good enough. Ooh, man, that was... Whew! Huh. Okay. Well, that was... as good as it gets. We got a second Blood Moon, a second Ensnaring Bridge, and an Upwelling. Now we are in business. We are in some serious business with our mana doubling, and we have protection for our opponent destroying a Blood Moon. Just one Blood Moon destruction doesn't do it. I think we actually might be winning, as odd as that sounds. We're only a couple turns away from being able to double our way to a win with Helix Pinnacle. So we're up to 5 mana. Oh my god. Well, I guess I know our plan. Tap, untap, tap. Are we really going to destroy all lands here? How much mana will we have left? So double our mana. This is the dream scenario. Alright, we're doing it. Bust. Destroy all lands. And we have the combo, we have it going. We have we have enough mana floating. Oh my god. Look at this, look at the board. Oh, so good. So good. Our opponent gets a land. They can get a bunch of lands back with their expeditions. But we don't even care. We just keep doubling our mana till we win. We get mana generated by Braid of Fire. 5 mana added. Play a mountain. Tap the mountain. Double our mana. Up to 24 plus 14 is what? 38? So I don't think we win next turn. I think we need 2 more turns of mana doubling. Opponent passes. Braid takes up. Add 6 more mana to our pool. We draw another Braid. Well, let's double. 94. We're 3 mana short. Alright, let's just play the Braid so we're empty-handed. And then next turn, we double 1 more time. Oh, this is like the dream scenario. That was such a good Genesis Wave. Oh my god. Oh, opponent passes. We get mana from our Braid of Fires. Play an Arbor Elf with our floating mana. Pass the turn. So we double up 1 more time. Put all our counters on Helix Pinnacle. Unless our opponent can kill us this turn. End of turn. Alright, tap our mountain. Double our mana. Put another 87 counters on our Helix Pinnacle. With the 180 some mana we have floating. Oh, so much clicking. Alright, we're almost there. 60, 70, 80. Alright, we'll dump 90 mana into it. 13 counters. Up to 103 counters. And everything triggers. Helix Pinnacle on top. Oh, we got every single piece working that game. We got it all. We got it all. Yes! Oh, the dream scenario. Alright, against the odds time, playing some more Braid of Fire in Modern. Oh my god. Well then, turn 1, Glistener Elf. Dryad Arbor. Goo. Not feeling too confident right here. Might get better after sideboarding. Take 1 from Glistener Elf. 2 from Glistener Elf. Inkmoth Nexus. Well, it's Forest, tap Dryad Arbor, Utopia Sprawl on red, and Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. Noble Hierarch for our opponent. Gets in for 2. Braid of Fire ticks up. Not very helpful. Well, let's Windswept Teeth, crack Windswept Teeth, get a Forest, and Staff of Domination. Pass the turn. This is probably not enough to keep us alive, but maybe we can try to start tapping Glistener Elf. Distortion Strike. We're dead to a Pump Spell. 3 poison. Dead to any Pump Spell. Alright, we're not dead yet. Next turn. Another Glistener Elf. Braid of Fire. Ticks up. Not helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't even Genesis Wave for enough. I don't think there's a way out of this. Well, let's Utopia Sprawl the Forest. Red. Stomping Grounds, untapped. So I think our possibility of winning is to tap whatever one they Distortion Strike. If they can protect it, then we're dead. And that still leaves us dead to Ink Moth, potentially? Well, alright. Pumps up Glistener Elf. Goes to combat, so we need to try to tap this Glistener Elf. And there's Apostle's Blessing. Alright. Yikes! Yeah, this seems like a difficult matchup, I think. Anger of the Gods and Sudden Shocks. Maybe Fulminator Mage. Blood Moon can be good on turn 2. Going down what? Comet Storm, I guess. Couple doubling cubes, a couple upwellings. Oh, I hate cutting combo pieces. And just try to play defense. Alright, let's play first. This hand's actually pretty good-ish. So Stomping Ground, untapped. Pass the turn. One-Step Heath, cracked. Opponent gets a Breeding Pool, untapped. And Gitaxian Probes. Gets a peek at our really good hand if we draw lands. Opponent passes. Well, Helix Pinnacle, Stomping Grounds, untapped. Pass the turn. Come on, lands! Especially a forest would be nice. Pass the turn. One-Step Heath, cracked. And Blighted Agent. Well, let's Lightning Bolt, Blighted Agent. Come on, land! Well, Arbor Elf is sort of like a very slow land. The problem is, if we Blood Moon, we lose our green mana, and our opponent's kind of playing around Blood Moon. So we might not even Blood Moon right away. Viridian Corruptor. Can't hit Helix Pinnacle. Well, boom. Counter number 1. Come on, green mana. Ugh, mountain? Really? A mountain? Let's just pass and plan on using Sudden Shock to deal with Viridian Corruptor. Pendelhaven for our opponent. Goes to combat. Attacks 4/2, Infect. Now let's just get rid of it. Viridian Corruptor down. Tap, untap, tap. Up to 3 counters. There's green mana. Wooded Foothills, crack Wooded Foothills. Get a forest. And just Blood Moon. Pass the turn. Could use one more green source to get this Genesis wave out of our hand eventually. That's... Whoa! And our opponent scoops it up. That was early. Well, sweet. Let's run it back. That worked well. This hand has 0 interaction. Have a lot of our combo pieces, but I think it's too slow. We probably get a mulligan. Well, I guess we can try this. We get a Scry for a Lightning Bolt. Alright, we'll keep Bolt. Breeding Pool, tapped. Let's just Stomping Grounds, untapped, and Utopia Sprawl on green. Pass the turn. Wooded Foothills, opponent cracks it. And Blighted Agent. Well, Stomping Grounds, untapped. Lightning Bolt, the Blighted Agent. And Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. We might be on the Dryad Arbor beatdown plan if we happen to live long enough. Could use more removal. Braid of Fire ticks up. Can't do anything with it yet. Forest. Well, Dryad Arbor, doubling cube. Pass the turn. Alright, we need a Blood Moon or a Sudden Shock. Those are the 2 cards that really help us here. Opponent gets in for 1 with Ink Moth. Braid of Fire ticking up. Mountain is not on the list. Well, Kessig Wolf Run. Get in with Dryad Arbor. And pass the turn. We are probably in danger to just... Yep, our opponent knows. Oh, dear. Well, if we live this turn, we're still drawing life to Blood Moon. Blood Moon, oh, could do it. It's possible. Here comes Ink Moth. Also possible we're dead here. Vines of the Vastwood, Might of Old Krosa, and that does it. Well, we got a game off, in fact. That's something, at least. Ish. Alright, against the odds time, playing some more Braid of Fire in Modern. And 1 land, but all of our combo pieces, we're going to try this. So Stomping Grounds, untapped, and Arbor Elf. Godless Shrine, tapped. Come on, land! Land! Yes! Alright. There's a land. So crack Windswept Heath. Get a forest. And I think step 1 is Ensnaring Bridge. Just to make sure it doesn't get hit by discard. Pass the turn. Caves of Koilos for our opponent. And Leonin Arbiter. Land? More land? Another bridge. Braid of Fire. What's the worst that could happen? I mean, the worst thing that happens is we get hit by a Ghost Quarter, go down to 2 lands, then we're leaning heavily on Braid, Eldrazi Temple, and Thought-Knot Seer? This will be interesting. Thought-Knot Seer comes down. What do they take? Goes with Comet Storm. Okay. Well, hopefully we draw land and get upwelling down, and then I'm feeling really good about where we're at. So Braid of Fire takes up. Can't use the mana. Come on, land for upwelling. Well, another ensnaring bridge. Pass the turn. A Blood Moon would also be sweet. Down to 13. Oh no. There's a Ghost Quarter. Another Thought Knot. Whew. Well, that was fortunate. They did not Ghost Quarter. Add mana. Come on. Land? Doubling Cube. Oh, this is bad. This is very bad. If we tap out, they just Ghost Quarter us and we lose our land. Godless Shrine. Untapped. Wasteland Strangler. Oh, dear. That's not good. There goes our Arbor Elf. Well, lands or bust. We need to draw lands. Lands. Opponent Ghost Quarters. Well, let's pay for Leonin Arbiter. This actually makes our life slightly easier. We'll just get a mountain. Now at least we're not worrying about playing around that, and we could still draw land. There's a land. All right, play the land. Play the Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. Hope our opponent does not have another Ghost Quarter. Still just playing towards that upwelling. And our opponents can't attack us very quickly. So opponent gets in for 2, down to 9. There's Eldrazi Displacer. Braids, adding mana. We draw land. Well, there's Forest. Crackwooded Foothills. Oh my god. Never mind. Just kidding. That didn't work like I had imagined. Yep, Arbiter. There's an Arbiter out there. Well, we can't get attacked, but we don't have an upwelling. And our... oh my goodness. Blank's Thought Knot Seer. We wouldn't have been able to play the Upwelling last turn anyway, but giving up our fetch for no reason was not good. Takes Upwelling. Can't attack. Passes a turn. Braids ticking up. Oh no! We drew the Blood Moon, which would have been so good. Well, we could draw another one. They're going to take our Blood Moon here. Yes! Gotcha, opponent. We gotcha. We got you good. Blood Moon into Blood Moon. Well, I think we'll cast a Blood Moon. And all of your lands are now mountains. Can't blink, can't do anything, can't attack, can't Ghost Quarter. So now I think we're just winning. I think we have an infinite amount of time. We got lucky. Blood Moon into Blood Moon was lucky, but also very sweet. Opponent passes. Braid of Fire takes up. Can't do anything. No upwelling. Oh my god. Well, let's play the Doubling Cube. We need one more land to be able to upwelling. The nightmare scenario is we get stuck with expensive cards in our hand that we can't cast. So hopefully we just draw a land. Well, another Doubling Cube. We should draw one sooner or later. We have time now. Braid of Fire. There's a mountain. Alright, that's an upwelling. Well, this mana situation is going to get very out of control very quickly. We have 3 Doubling Cubes. 3! Oh, if you ever wanted to see mana, this is your time to see mana. We might be able to break Magic Online. I wonder how high mana can get. Well, it's Stomping Grounds. Tapped. Pass the turn. This is going to get absurd. End of turn, we tap out, double our mana, and I think we'll double our mana. So, up over 100. Braids, adding some mana. Come on, don't scoop. Lightning Bolt. Well, let's tap out. Double our mana. And Lightning Bolt, Leonin Arbiter. Pass the turn. So, we are over 1,000. Oh, this is going to get so absurd. Braids, add some mana. If we ever draw a Genesis Wave, we win. Play the Mountain. Tap out. Double our mana. This is getting ridiculous. Over 4,000. Oh, it's not going up anymore. It maxed. Oh, Moto, I am so disappointed. Our mana is no longer increasing. Apparently you can't go above 5,000. Moto, I am so disappointed in you. Oh, that went up. We draw another land, play a land, tap out. Is this really just not working anymore? Yep. Alright, we can't double our mana anymore. Thanks to Moto. Apparently you can't go above 5,000 mana. Opponents discarding the hand size. We're just waiting to draw a Genesis Wave or our Helix Pinnacle. Play an Arbor Elf. Pass the turn. Oh, I was really hoping we were going to get in the millions. We would have been able to get millions of mana this game if it wasn't for this cap set by Magic Online. Windswept Heath, go. Opponent passes. Still discarding a hand size. When do we draw a finisher? Utopia Sprawl, sure. Gotta stay empty-handed for our Ensnaring Bridge. Set it on red, doesn't really matter. So our mana, this is weird. Our mana seems to still be going up, but it won't double. Opponent discards. Braid of Fire. We've drawn a lot of lands in a row. Our opponent could be storing mana too, but they're choosing not to. Opponent plays a Shambling Vent, which is a mountain. Oh, Moto, really? Really? Pass the turn. So this is the biggest we've ever had at Braids. Braids is up to 17. It's been on the battlefield for 17 turns. Well, we've gone through half of our deck, so we should draw something eventually. Let's kill Eldrazi Displacer. Pass the turn. I don't know why I bothered to tap mana. We have 3,737 red mana floating. Well, our opponent drew a Swamp. This means they get to cast things. Wasteland Strangler, going to take down our Arbor Elf. Well, sooner or later, we're going to draw a Genesis Wave. We've drawn a lot of forests in a row. Might as well keep adding mana. So it's letting us add mana bit by bit from Braids and by tapping our land, but it's not letting us double. Taking up, 28 cards left. We got to find one soon. Dryad Arbor, pass the turn. Well, the good news is we shouldn't have any problem playing things to keep our hand empty. Opponent passes. Braids ticking up. Another doubling cube. Might as well tap a couple lands. Keep it going. Opponent passes. Still discarding. They're not giving up. Stomping Grounds. Tapped. They must have an out. I don't know why else they'd keep playing. I guess technically we're behind on cards, and they might be thinking that we're just going to mill ourselves out. Discards. Braid ticking up. Lightning Bolt, a Wasteland Strangler. I can't believe we haven't drawn a finisher yet. Opponent passes. What an odd game. Alright, so Braid ticks up. Arbor Elf, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Wasteland Strangler. Kills one of our things. Goes with Dryad Arbor. Doesn't really matter. Braid ticks up. Oh my goodness. Stomping Ground tapped. Pass the turn. Down to 22 cards. We have our Helix Pinnacle. We got 4 Genesis Waves. Before long, the odds are going to be in favor of us drawing one. Braid ticking up. Keswick Wolf Run. Oh man. If it wasn't for Blood Moon, Arbor Elf would be able to get pretty big. 5,000 almost power. Another land for our opponent. Braid of Fire ticks up. Alright, another Braid of Fire. What are these? All of our finishers at the very bottom of our library? Ooh, Ether Vial lets our opponent cheat things into play eventually. Braid ticks up. Oh my goodness. Windswept Eve. So Braid is adding, what are we getting? 28, 25, and 1? So like 50 mana a turn from our Braids of Fire. Problem is, if this gets up to 3, they could put in a Flicker Wisp, blink our, well, we have 2 Ensnaring Bridges, blink our Blood Moon, I guess? So it would be nice if we actually just drew a Genesis Wave in the near future. Well, we drew an Ensnaring Bridge, I guess that's something. With 3 Ensnaring Bridges, I don't know why one's down here. Everything is oddly split up. Our Doubling Cubes aren't together, our Ensnaring Bridges aren't together. Moto is having a hard time with this board state. Another Ether Vial. Our mana still taking up. Another Arbor Elf. Pass the turn. This is getting really ridiculous. Our opponent has Flicker Wisp mana now. I don't know if it really saves them, though. Braid of Fire ticks up. Play another Ensnaring Bridge. We still haven't found one. 16 cards left. We're to the point where like 30% of our deck are cards that win us the game. Here comes a Flicker Wisp. Oh, it's a Displacer. Not a Flicker Wisp. Well, that's fine. We only have 1 Blood Moon down, which is a little scary. Means like Flicker Wisp, Blood Moon, they can activate Displacer a bunch of times. There's Flicker Wisp. Going for Blood Moon. So lands are normal again. Oh, they're go for Ensnaring Bridge. Can they just blink us to death? Blinks, Ensnaring Bridge. How much mana do they have? 1, 2, 3. Blinks, Ensnaring Bridge. I think we're gonna lose. Oh my goodness, this is so sad. Oh man. We are sort of the epitome of unlucky. We went through our entire deck so far, and we just never found a finisher. Blinks our Ensnaring Bridge. Oh, yep. So this is actually going to lose us the game. Wow. They had just enough mana to do this, and that does it. Wow. All right. Well, that was unfortunate. The odds of us not drawing a finisher in 44 cards is pretty astronomical. Where were our Genesis? There's one. 13th card. Another one. 12th card. Helix Pinnacle. 11th card. Genesis Wave. 10th card. Oh my god. Wow, I can't believe we lost that game. That is kind of unbelievable. Well, Boom Bust coming in. Take that, Eldrazi. Fulminator Mage also coming in. Going down what? a doubling cube, we had 5,000 mana and we lost that game. That should not happen. Maybe go down some Arbor Elves because they're just gonna die. Yeah, let's try it like that. Alright, I mean, we got some cards that do stuff. So Wooded Foothills, crack Wooded Foothills, get a Forest, and Utopia Sprawl on green. Pass the turn. Opponent, Shambling Vents tapped. We draw a Forest. Let's doubling cube, Wooded Foothills, pass the turn. Plains for our opponent, and Leonin Arbiter. Well, let's play the Mountain, Lightning Bolt, Leonin Arbiter, crack this, get a Forest, and Utopia Sprawl on red, pass the turn. Opponent has Stony Silence for our doubling cube. Well, let's Upwelling, Forest, and pass the turn. This also lets our opponent save up mana, which is a little scary. Plains for our opponent, and Displacer. Alright. Tap out. What do we draw? More lands. Alright, Windswept Teeth, pass the turn. Well, this hand is not doing much for us. Opponent gets in for 3. Let's crack Windswept Teeth, get a Dryad Arbor. Tap out, store up some mana. Alright, there goes our Upwelling. Lose all our mana. There's Lightning Bolt, so let's kill Displacer, get in with our Dryad Arbor. Down to 16, pass the turn. Thankfully, our opponent does not have colorless mana yet. Flicker Wisp hits one of our Utopia Sprawl for us. Jeez, this draw is not working out. Another land. Get in with Dryad Arbor. Opponent down to 15. Pass the turn. We just do not have much going on. This is kind of just flooding out. Wasteland Strangler going to take down our Dryad Arbor. Gets in 4-3. Well, if we don't start drawing things soon, we're at risk of just dying. Alright, Arbor Elf. Stomping Ground, tapped. Yeah, we just haven't drawn action. I guess they got rid of our Upwelling, but still, even with Upwelling, we weren't really doing anything. Opponent gets in with both, and we're essentially on a 2-turn clock, so we're kind of to Ensnaring Bridge or bust? I guess we were... Well, there's Genesis Wave. Well, this helps. Tap, untap, tap. So we get to Genesis Wave X6. No, that was good. Woo! That was very good. And we'll pass the turn. Double Ensnaring Bridge plus Blood Moon. That gives us a bit of protection here. Colorless land for our opponent. Worship. Joke's on our opponent. We're not winning with damage. Alright, let's Utopia Sprawl a Forest. If our opponent kills it, we don't really care. On red. So Helix Pinnacle, Genesis Wave, more Blood Moons. We have a lot of things that would be good for our deck. Another Stony Silence. Sure. Keeps us from doubling our mana, but... Well, there's Braid of Fire. Start making more mana. I don't think we're that far away from just winning with a Comet Storm. Ghost Quarter as a Mountain. Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Actually not a threat unless they can get rid of our bridges. Okay. So Braid starts ticking up. This game is going to get weird again. Hopefully we just draw another Genesis Wave. Windswept Teeth. Pass the turn. Another land for our opponent. Takes up Elspeth. And passes. Braid adding mana for no reason. Genesis Wave. Whoa! There we go! Tap, untap, tap. So it's Genesis Wave time. Let's see what we hit this go around with Genesis Wave X10. Ensnaring Bridge, Staff, Blood Moon. Wow, mono permanence. Upwellings, lands. This is exactly what we wanted. And pass the turn. I feel like we're in pretty good shape now, even without doubling our mana. We have loads of protection. Our mana doesn't empty because of our Upwellings. And now we're at a point where even Flicker Wisp, they need multiple Flicker Wisps in the same turn, which is going to be really difficult. So let's start storing up some mana. Braid gives us some mana. Another Braid, we'll play it. Tap, untap, tap, just full on tap out. So we're up to 19 mana. Kinda close to Helix Pinnacle. What a ridiculous match. Opponent makes some more tokens. Braid's adding more mana. Oh, well there we go. We haven't got a Comet Storm win yet. So target our opponent, and we'll just 20 them with Comet Storm. Oh, Worship! Our old enemy! Oh, alright, I guess that was a pun. We needed to kill all the creatures. I think we still win, but that was a pun. Because we're not going to get rid of the creatures. I completely forgot about it, and that slows us down with our mana production. Braids. It might cost us like a turn. Windswept Teeth. Tap out. untap, retap. So we're up to, what, 30, 42 mana towards Helix Pinnacle. Oh, that was so bad. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. I'm going to edit that out. Editing out that turn. There was an error with the video. Another Braid of Fire. All right, tap out. Our opponent doesn't have very long to figure this out. 50 plus 18. Might as well play Braid of Fire. Pass the turn. I think we would have won next turn if it wasn't for that misguided Comet Storm. Makes more tokens. Opponent passes. All right, Braid adds mana, adds mana, adds mana. Another bridge. Well, let's tap out, untap with our Arbor Elf. Play Ensnaring Bridge. Pass the turn. All right, we are 2 turns away from finally getting the win. Path to Exile on their Wasteland Strangler. Getting black mana. Make some tokens. All right, let's add all of our mana to our Helix Pinnacle. So we'll have 92 counters. I don't think this is going to trigger this turn, though. I don't think it actually works. So dump all our mana into Helix Pinnacle. 92 counters. Add mana. Add mana. Put the rest of the counters on our Helix Pinnacle. I don't think it works, though. So we're over 100, but it's not going to win until next turn. So we basically... Whoa! All right. Hello. That works in our favor. So I say we cast a card by the name of Bust. Let's untap this land first. Bust. Basically a 6-mana Armageddon. That was a good draw. And I'm guessing that probably does it. Yes! Yes! After the depressing loss round 1, round 2 we got there. Oh, this should have been the match win, though. Oh, if we didn't run so incredibly poorly. Our opponent's worship don't matter with a Helix Pinnacle on 102. Opponent emblems up the creatures. Fair enough. And scoops it up. Yes! Oh, I wish it was a match win, but that was still sweet. Oh, all right. Well, I guess we just run it back. Alrighty then. I guess we try this. Godless Shrine. Untapped. Uh-oh. There goes our Blood Moon. Oh, it's an Ether Vial. If we get down a quick Blood Moon, I guess Ether Vial's still good, though. Crackwooded Foothills. Get a Forest. And then just Utopia Sprawl on red. A fetch land would be interesting for Boom. Opponent, wow, kept 1 land. There's Ensnaring Bridge. Well, Utopia Sprawl on green. This is not the way we drew it up. It's going to be hard for us to get empty-handed. Ether Vial ticks up. Opponent's going to get to start vialing things in. Land? Alright, there's a land. Opponent vials in a Tide Hollow Sculler. Alright, has a bunch of options. Takes Ensnaring Bridge. Well, Windswept Heath. Crack Windswept Heath. Get a Forest. And then we Helix Pinnacle, Blood Moon. Pass the turn. Gives us some protection from Ghost Quarter. Tap land for our opponent. Leaves Vial on 2. Gets in for 2. Vials in a Thalia. We can't play Upwelling, which is bad. Alright, I guess we just gotta pass. Now we're just getting beaten down. And no way our 4-mana turn is gonna race these creatures with Helix Pinnacle. So we really need a land here. Our opponent likes this end of turn put things into play ideal. That Ether Vial is keeping our opponent alive. Braid of Fire. No! We're gonna lose! Oh, so depressing. Well, that is the game, boys and girls. Wow. Wow! Leaning so hard on Vial. Oh, I think if we played this match 100 times, we would have won so many of them. Our running in game 1 was so bad. And our opponent's draw this game is really nuts. Braid ticks up, and there's no out now. There's a land too late, and that does it. Well, what a ridiculous match. I mean, technically we didn't win that match, but wow, that was a ridiculous match, and we really should have won. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a game. So what did we learn this week about Braid of Fire in Modern? And honestly,
I don't even know. Like, we only got in 4 matches, which is super low for against odds. Usually we get in 6, sometimes 7, because our matches went super long, so it was hard to get in as many as normal. And we only ended up winning 1 of our 4, so our match win percentage, only 25%. Not exciting. That said, I still feel like we should have won the Eldrazi match, where we whiffed on a finisher all the way down to 16 cards in our library. You literally drew 3/4 of our deck without finding a single card to win us the game out of the 5 that we had. So that was a little crazy. The odds of that have got to be really small. So I felt like we were favored in that matchup and that we should have actually got a match win there and been 2-2, 50%, that would be good. So the match record, not great. We got stomped by mono blue turbo turns, U-turns. I think that's close to an unwinnable matchup. I think we could play that many, many times and we would basically never win it. We just can't interact. We won a game from Infect, and that matchup feels very hard, but we do have some cards that are good. Scapeshift felt very good for us, and that's the match win we got. And then Eldrazi felt very good, but we didn't quite win. The better news is we went 4 out of 10 in games, which puts us at 40%, and that's essentially average. When I figured out the average of an entire year's worth of against odds, I think it was like 38%. So I guess slightly above average, but essentially at the average. So it wasn't bad. More importantly, the deck got to do some incredibly cool and fun and crazy things. We made 5,000 mana, and we were only limited by Magic Online. In that game, we actually had 3 doubling seasons on the battlefield. We had 5,000 mana in our mana pool, and I actually ran the numbers on this. If Magic Online wasn't capped out and we had just activated our doubling cubes every single turn, we would have ended up with 5.76 sextillion mana. That's 5 to the 21st power. So, I mean, technically not infinite. It is a number that you could actually say, but a very incredibly large amount of mana. So I was hoping we could keep going, but Magic Online has a cap. I guess they figure no one really needs more than 5,000 mana, and I guess that's true. So I don't know. I'm mostly just happy because we got to do cool things. We got to do really sweet Genesis waves. We got some sweet Helix Pinnacle wins. We got to boom bust some people by surprise, which was super awesome. So we got to do a lot of good things, and the deck worked really well. Braid of Fire is an incredibly hard card to build around because it's really slow, and there's not a good way to make it faster. Like, you can try to proliferate, you can try to somehow add counters to it with like Gilder Barn or something, but there's not a good way to really speed it up. So to make Braid of Fire work, you need 2 things. First of all, you got to make the game go long enough for it to matter. You want to go 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 turns after you play a Braid of Fire for the mana to really be significant. So to do that, we use Blood Moon and Ensnaring Bridge, and that actually worked pretty well in a lot of matchups. Like against Eldrazi, you could see against the Titan Shift deck, those cards were insane and bought us an incredible amount of time. I think we actually got a Braid up to 27 counters at one point, so that's 27 turns it was on the battlefield. So that part of the deck worked good. The other challenge, obviously, is the timing restriction because it happens on your upkeep. How do you make use of that? And I thought of different things, tried different things, but our plan of using Upwelling to let the mana stay in our mana pool and then Doubling Cube to make that mana become more and more and just double it up actually worked really well. So I was really happy with how the deck functioned and how everything came together. I think it was really sweet and it did what it was supposed to do. I wish we could have gotten the like 5,000 power Arbor Elf for Dryad Arbor Kill because that would have been sweet. But we got to do almost everything that I set out to do with the deck, and and the stuff it did was really sweet. So even though our record wasn't good, I look at this one as a success because it was interesting and fun to play. Anyway, that's been our Against the Odds for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.